everyone. I am Burgandi Phoenix.
And I'm Govind Kumar.
And you are watching The Curve, brought to you by...
Casting Frontier.
Okay, you guys. Today... Govind,
yeah,
take
where
it away,
do we
please.
begin? So his name, we'll start off with his name, Mr. Doug Jones.
Oh, hi.
Thank you so much for being here today.
It is my pleasure to be here. I don't deserve this kind of an opening. Thank you for that. It's very kind of you. Sorry about that.
So most recently, he's an Emmy consideration for not one, but two projects. Get ready for this. My mom's freaking out. Star Trek Discovery, a Saru.
Yeah, thank you.
And in What We Do in the Shadows, which is... hysterical.
Yeah.
And and other works he may be known for. You've seen him in more things than you
even realize.
Absolutely. So we'll start off with Amphibian Man in Shape of Water.
Yep.
Hellboy movies, his relationship with Guillermo del Toro in what are we?
Fawn
boys,
well,
fawn girls.
Oh, you're
language.
fawn boy, fawn girl.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Got it.
Pan's Labyrinth.
Yes.
It's very clever.
Man.
It's very clever.
And Pale Man. We're fawning out.
Yeah.
But so Doug Jones, you have such a beautiful body of work that is so intrinsic and unique, and I think that you started out going to Ball State
University,
and from Indiana, and you have a bachelor's in telecommunications.
Which it seems odd.
Minor in theater. You were like maybe.
Well, this is because, like many people in the Midwest, I had sensible parents, and if you are a parent of any worth in the Midwest, you do not let your kids major in theater.
Yes.
It's like
or from Long Island.
Right.
Or anywhere.
It's you can't get a job in that. That's not sensible. That whole line of thought. Well, so I majored in radio and TV broadcasting. Telecommunications it was called, and then minored in theater. That was fine. They would help pay for that.
Okay.
Exactly.
So it was like a way for you to do what you loved, but also being like, here's a degree.
Right, exactly.
So for people out there, you parlayed that from just minoring in theater, and then you went on to be in over 90 commercials, major commercials, McDonald's, Mac the Night, right? And then you went into television and Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and then you now are in so many movies. Such a niche career. So how did you, for people out there who are just starting or struggling, how did you end up there?
Right. Well, I did not seek that career out.
Okay.
I had no idea that creature makeups was a career option.
Exactly.
I grew up watching funny guys. First of all, I think it's very important that we know our type, whatever that type is, right? So when I had a hankering for showbiz one day, I knew I wasn't going to be a leading handsome man. I had to be funny or scary.
Oh.
And that's in the character category, right? So those are the people, the actors on TV and film that inspired me. So I watched Jerry Lewis, Danny Kaye, Dick Van Dyke. Barney Fife on the Andy Griffith Show, played by Don Knotts, or Bob Denver as Gilligan on Gilligan's Island, or Jim Neighbors as Gomer Pyle.
Before you saw these people,
old school people, but if you don't know them,
these are youngsters. But those are the characters that I was like, okay, and now maybe that's the career I might be able to have one day. So I was seeking comedy and goofy guy stuff. So when I got to Hollywoodland in 1985, that's what I was pursuing, and it was. But because I'm 6'3½", weigh 140 pounds, that's very odd.
Wow.
You mentioned I have a beautiful body of work, but I have an odd body. But I have an odd body.
Just like an odd tall body.
And right, exactly. Thank you for that. But putting this to use, I also have a background as a mime. While I was at Ball State University, I studied mime. So the movement wake up for my body, and the way I'm shaped and formed with a long neck, skinny face, bony structure. Creature effects makeup people love this template to build upon. So I didn't know that. I didn't know anything about that. So when I got my first TV commercial agent, I was with Wilhelmina agency back in the 80s. And I found them through an acting class. It was taught by Philip Carr, God rest his soul, who was the vice president in charge of Wilhelmina on the West Coast.
What was the class?
The class was called LA Commercial Workshop. I don't think they exist anymore.
Oh, okay.
But a long time. This was back in the 80s. But it was specifically a commercial workshop. Exactly. And I took that class because I had theater training, but I didn't have on camera. How do you do this?
Oh yeah.
Right. So that class was very instrumental in helping me develop those skills, and it was taught by Philip Carr, who was a great instructor and also an agent. So that Wilhelmina became my first TV commercial agency.
Oh, great.
So they started sending me out on goofy, tall, skinny guy stuff. And a lot of that ended up, because I can also put my legs behind my head.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
Right, so that's on my resume.
I saw you do that, and then don't do this at home. Because I was like, oh.
Well, right, because you might get stuck like that, or you might pull something.
No, but I saw that you were like, look, you know, I didn't know back then that that was a skill or a thing. Right. And so that you were like, look, I could put my leg behind my head. And my agent was like, well, you're a contortionist. Then you're
now
like,
they have those boxes.
Exactly.
Great. Now they actually have those. Like Casting Frontier has contortionists.
That's a box I can check.
Yeah, now you can.
Yeah, I never traveled with the circus. It's just a party gag I could go do, you know, put my legs
behind your head.
And it was actually, so I started going out on TV commercial auditions, and one of my goofy commercial auditions I did was for Midas Mufflers. Oh. And they wanted me to be a contortionist. So I'm like, oh, I can put one leg behind my head. I know I can do that.
Wow. Yeah.
It was at the callback. The director says, okay, now this big guy's playing a Swedish masseur, and he's going to be working on you, and he's going to put both your legs behind your head. I had never put both of them behind my head before. Camera's rolling. I'm like, okay, here goes nothing. So of course, as actors do, yes, I can do that.
I can do that.
Not knowing at all if I could. So
you're double. It's called double knee.
Double jointed. That's a loose term, but I don't know what that means. I don't have an extra joint in my hips, but yeah. But but anyway, so this big guy playing Ollie puts it back there, and it's like it worked. I was sitting there going, they're both behind my head. And that happened for the first time on camera at I booked the commercial.
That's how you do it.
See, guys. That's what we need to do. As we've mentioned, the things that you've done, specifically with one director in particular, Guillermo del Toro, that we all
have a repertoire's worth of work now.
Right.
Yeah, with doing all of these different types of films that you do and all of these different types of characters. I mean, obviously everybody starts out somewhere, right? Mm-hmm. You started out where we just talked about with two legs behind the head, and this is a great place where it landed you, right? So how can you give advice to somebody that might just be starting out here or that's looking to develop a relationship with a director that they could continuously work with over and over again? Because those are things that we all don't think about when we come here, you know? We're like, we just want to work. It's like, but also building that relationship and then continuously working with the same people.
I think, well, for me, I never sought a director relationship, like, because they can smell that coming down the hall, right?
Yeah.
It's like,
and I
want to network with a director and like sink my teeth in.
And the way that it happened for you is they were shooting in the States after doing a movie in Canada, right? Originally.
That's how I met Del Toro.
Yes, exactly.
Let me back up just a little bit. From the TV commercial work, a lot of the mime and contortionist background got me into auditions that were costume heavy.
Got it.
Where there'd be a costume involved or a makeup involved because somebody needs to move in that, they thought. So that's when I got those. So I started doing my creature effects makeup work in commercials. And one of the big ones was the Mac Tonight campaign for McDonald's. It was a big moon head that sang at a piano. Ended up
YouTube.
You'll find it on YouTube, right. And I ended up doing 27 commercials as that character over like a 3-year period. So I bought my first house with that. Wow. And that also got me into the creature effects makeup loop, right? Because a lot of the creature effects people worked on that commercial campaign over 3 years. And then they would work at other shops, like Rick Baker's, Greg Canham's, Stan Winston's shop. And then my name would come up when they're looking at a tall, skinny creature character. So that's kind of how I got into the referral loop.
Got it.
At the creature effects level.
Yeah.
So that goes outside the casting directors, outside the agents and managers and casting people. That was a world unto itself. Yeah. It's like the creature guys are making something like, Doug Jones should play this. I get a call at home, and it all happens, under the table kind of a thing. And until you finally then take that to your agent and say, I got an offer. Let's work this officially. Yeah. So, already having that system up and running, I get a call one day from Rick Lazarini's shop, a creature shop that had done the creatures, the bug guys from Mimic that was filmed in Canada. You're right.
Okay.
That's what I was
Right. They're doing reshoots for that, pickup shots in Los Angeles 2 weeks before the movie comes out in theaters. So they're like, we need to insert a couple of shots. So instead of trying to get that Canadian actor, work permitted, traveled, hotel, per diem, everything down here. I'm in town, right. So out comes the tall, skinny Rolodex. I'm in it, right?
And there's like two of you, and it's you and you.
You knew your gifts, and you were ready, you were prepared.
And the guys at Rick Lazarini's shop had heard of me, knew of me, had worked with me before. Yeah. So that's why I got the call. And then I ended up on the same day at doing a night shoot downtown LA on top of a 3-story brick building in a bug costume with Guillermo del Toro directing me.
Wow.
That was his first American movie, and he had worked in Mexico before that quite a bit.
Yeah.
But this was his first American film.
Yeah.
So I ended up working 3 days on Mimic for those reshoots, And during that time, we bonded, we got to know each other, and he took my card from me and kept it in his wallet. And then it was 5 years later.
Wow.
So you didn't hear 5 years.
Yeah, that was 1997. So in 2002, I get another call. And I've been working all the while on other things.
Exactly.
And then I get a call from a creature effects makeup designer, Steve Wang, and he says, "Hey, Doug, I'm here with the director who says he knows you. We're developing a creature for a movie, and can you come see us tomorrow?" Well, that was the Hellboy movie, the first Hellboy.
Oh, wow.
And the character was Abe Sapien, the blue fish guy. Right.
So nuanced.
So
cool.
So when that maquette sculpture was being done, Guillermo del Toro saw that, and he was like, "Oh, it's so beautiful!" And and the creature effects guys that were sculpting it, designing it, making it, all said, who should play this is Doug Jones. And that's when Guillermo said, "Doug Jones? I know Doug Jones." And he pulled my card out of his wallet.
Did he have a giant wallet?
He must have, right, exactly.
It was like,
or a small one.
5 years later, that card came out.
Wow. I mean, you've done 7 total projects with Guillermo del Toro, 6 films and a TV show.
Right.
It's multiple award-winning things. I mean, this just always comes back to that your uniqueness is enough. And really, you can have a career based on your own personal brand as long as you know what that is, right?
Right.
Doug is obviously a very specialized character actor who is extremely talented, who filled a need, right? We're always hearing, well, what need do you feel? What can you help us with? And he knew exactly what he could help with, and he just put it out there. And so this is what's led him now to what? You're doing conventions.
Well, sure. I mean, a career on film and TV does the convention world. The fan conventions is a huge industry now.
Yes.
They're ever growing too. So it's a great place where the people who have been watching our work for all these years can now meet us in person. I love that environment. It's very sweet But the brand thing, I knew the brand had to be funny or scary, tall, skinny, goofy guy. Now it's involving monsters as well. Yeah. So that brand built itself.
Yeah. Having such a beautiful, long career that you have, and working with, Guillermo del Toro specifically on 7 projects, how does a relationship like that develop without being the slimy actor person who's like, help me, I need you.
Because you've said you weren't looking for it.
Right.
No, right.
Right, you weren't looking to develop that as, that, but can you get into that a little bit?
I think most importantly, be good at what you do, right? And if you're good at what you do, those who can make decisions on your behalf or can plug you in are there, will notice. So apparently people thought I was good at what I did.
Okay, so you've said before, and I think you're being too humble. I've heard you say, and I didn't complain when I was in the outfits, I was professional.
Right.
But can you articulate a little more? Because you're at the level now, you've done enough where you knew your strengths, you're gifted, but what are some of those attributes, really?
Well, right. Well, okay. Well, again, being a physical type that I am, putting it to use and having done the work to become, I did put a lot of work in as a mime. I did a lot of solo performing as mimes at live events, and a lot of my early commercial work was done as a mime or a monster or something. So that kind of parlays itself into referrals that turn into movies and TV shows, and that turns into directors and producers and writers that establish a relationship through those projects that you're doing. So it builds over time. You cannot do this overnight. That is one thing I will say. Yeah, because if you go to a director and say, "Hey, make me famous,"
and I'm sure
you will never hear from that director ever again.
Please make sure to join us for part 2 of our interview with Mr. Doug Jones. We're hoping for part 3 through 400.
And 50,000.
However much he'll allow us, because we are honored to talk with him.
That's going to be a long day. Thank you.
It's going to be a very long day.